Today, Troy Warren. Troy, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm good. Jim Jonas not going to be here today. Christina Ortiz not going to be here today. All those people just absentees.
And you called me when?
Hour ago.
Oh, imagine that. Was that character? Didn't we have a conversation around that character shows up when it gets difficult?
Yeah. We're going to have two guests today. We're going to have William Carr, owner of the William Carr Art Gallery. And then we're going to have Stephen Sonnenburg. He's going to discuss the unethical ruling by the hands of family court judge Rebecca Burton. Unethical ruling.
Unethical.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And
you know, nothing unethical happens in the courts.
Oh, absolutely not. No. They're by the book.
Always.
They follow the law.
They never legislatively make law.
That's right. And they do not bring their bias to the bench.
Never. So this ought to be an interesting story.
That's right. And they do not have favors. Depends on what counsel's before them.
Correct.
And they disclose everything. Anything.
Everything.
They disclose it all.
Always disclose it all.
So if you decide that you want that judge, it's your fault.
Yep.
Because they disclose everything.
Yep.
They do. Absolutely.
Bastards.
You know that's a bunch of bullshit, right?
You couldn't hear the sarcasm in the voice?
But, we had an election.
Yes, we did. Go Trump, yes.
And he surprised everybody, didn't he?
Yeah, he Reaganed her ass.
He didn't surprise me. I had a good, strong feeling he was going to win.
I figured he was going to win, but I didn't know he was going to smoke her like he did.
Oh, he smoked her. He rolled her up.
Rolled on big puff pass program.
And I said, no matter who won, there are going to be protesters. And as you can see,
well, would there have been some protesters? It's like when Barack Obama was elected in 2008. I was a little disappointed because, frankly, I didn't even know who in the hell he was.
There were no protesters, though.
No. Hello. Oh, and everybody asked, I was like, well, what'd you do the next day? I said, I got up and went to work.
Yeah.
And the same thing in 2012.
Yeah.
How many conservative protesters were out there burning shit and blocking freeways in 2012 when Romney lost?
Yeah.
Hello.
I didn't see any. There also got shootings going on, too, with these protesters.
Dude, it just gets dumber by the day.
And throwing over police squad cars is what they're reporting. They're protesting all over the country. I've heard Texas, Florida, California.
I've read and heard some of the same reports, and it's just beyond belief that, well, first of all, adults don't act that way, so they're obviously not adults.
Yeah.
Second of all, I don't think a lot of them have even been inside of a voting booth.
Probably not.
And you listen to them talk, and it's false truths and innuendos and conjecture. It's like, some of the LGBT community, they're complaining, oh, now I got to look over my back and all my rights are going to be taken away. Last time I checked, he was the only one at either convention that addressed you and said, I've got your back.
Yeah, that's what he did say. Yeah, I heard it.
Okay, so that one's moot.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it wasn't just the white vote. Because there ain't enough white people out there to vote him into office because there were so many Hillary supporters.
Yeah.
So he got a lot of the black, a lot of the Latino vote. So, where these lies and stuff are getting made up, I have no idea.
I don't know. They say that the Latinos was against him because he wants to build a wall. And a lot of Latinos that I talk to say, hey, I don't want nobody cut in front of me.
Exactly. Well, my boss was in the Tuesday, the day of the election, was actually down in I guess they call it Little Havana down in South Florida. He said there were Trump signs everywhere.
Yeah.
He says he said everywhere he went, everybody they were supporting Trump.
Well, a lot of the business folks wanted Trump.
Yeah. Well, I've always asked for something different. Yeah. I've been asking for something different for a long time. Finally got it, so I voted for it.
So Nevada turned blue.
Oh, that's a shock.
Yeah.
After what happened in the last legislative session.
But something, the Republicans that withdrew their support for Trump because of this,
like Hardy and Heck.
Yeah, this locker room talk. They both lost. Joe Heck and Chris and Hardy.
Yep. Good for them.
If you give your endorsement, you should stick to it. I'm just saying. You know they say your friends are those folks that stick by you when you're in trouble.
Yeah, you know who your true friends are.
Yeah. The opportunists are the ones that run away. So
Yeah, what can you do for me now?
yeah, absolutely. And then those I hate to use this word, rhino. They all lost their race,
Thank God.
including your cousin.
Oh, that's a shocker. That's called hashtag ain't karma a bitch.
Yeah. The only one that actually pulled it off was Scott Scott Hammond, State Senate. But everybody else lost their race if they didn't come out of the if they didn't go into the general election. The only rhinos that actually won are the one that won their primary. They didn't have a general election. But if you had a general election, you were done for.
Absolutely, you were.
So like Steven Silbercross, gone. Your cousin Derek Armstrong, gone. That guy Nick Phillips,
Gone. Well, you know, I was really shocked when John Moore lost. Well, I know why he lost his race, but you know, because he was for the people. He was against that commerce tax, and but you know what I think might have hurt him, voting for the stadium. Yeah. You know, that's you know, I'm all for the stadium coming here, but not with my money.
Not with tax dollars.
Nope, not with tax. I don't give a shit if well, they say it's from the tourists, but that's just to build it.
Yeah.
And how long have the Raiders stayed in one spot?
Yeah.
They move a lot.
And Danny Tarkanian lost.
You know, I really thought he had a shot this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I spoke to Jackie.
Maybe he's gonna be like Kevin. What's his face on the school board? Kevin Childs. You know, run for everything for dog catcher, and finally, 50 years later, he wins an office.
Yeah, I thought Danny actually had this thing won. You know, but I spoke to Jackie Rosen this morning, congratulating her on her victory to Congress. But
well, you know what's scary about that? So Reuben Kuhn, Cortez Masto, and Rosen, all three handpicked by Harry Reid.
Don't forget Titus is still in there.
Well, yeah. But I don't know if she's handpicked by. I'm sure she's cozy with him. But those are the three handpicked newbies that come into this race and were handpicked. That just tells you how screwed we are in this county, because you know it was our county that lost the state.
Well, you know, Harry Reid, he's a lame duck right now, and hopefully over the course of a year or so, he won't have such a grip on Nevada politics.
I don't know. He'll probably be like another George Soros,
hopefully
only on a smaller scale.
Hopefully. So and then let's move on to the judges' races. And my girl Annette Levy.
Oh, dude, I was so heartbroken over that. I thought she had. You know what though? She had 250,000 votes.
259,000, somewhere around there.
And was outspent 2-1.
Yeah. She spent 200, and I believe he spent a little over 4. So
I'm telling you, man, she worked it though.
Yeah,
she did. Why she got it, I have no idea. Why she didn't get it, is just beyond me.
And she went up against the establishment.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, you know, I was really bummed out when she lost that race. Yeah. Really bummed, but. You know, it is what it is, and the Lord has different plans for different folks, and let's see what happens with her. I'm sure she's not gone.
Oh, she'll rebound. She doesn't look like the quitter type to me.
No.
Everything I've been around her.
So you got anything else?
No, other than the fact that you know, I told you I was texting Jim last night, Jim Jonas, and you know, a couple things we figured out is the rioters accomplished nothing. And the Trump people, our riot was in the voting booth, and we kicked your ass. So take that.
Yeah. Troy Warren. Guys got your ass kicked. But anyways, we're gonna take a commercial break,
okay,
and then we're gonna come to our first guest. Folks, this is Steve Sanson and Troy Warren. Ethan, with Veterans in Politics Don't Go Away. We're gonna have William Carr, owner of the William Carr Art Gallery. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Heidi Hanusa, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. My clients consist of families, children, couples, and individuals that are in need of some assistance dealing with trauma, depression, anxiety, and many other life issues that you can find on my website. I accept most insurances. For additional information, such as location, hours, insurances, and experience, go to my website at Faith Individual and Family Counseling.
Folks, we are back. This is Steve Sanson, Troy Ethan Warren, Veterans in Politics, and we have William Carr, who's the owner of the William Carr Art Gallery. Mr. Carr, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm a fine art photographer. Been doing it for about 35 years, and developed a unique style in photography, and traveled the world collecting imagery from literally all over the world. And I show that in my gallery, and you know, the people that come in from all over the world, based on the gallery that I have in the Palazzo Venetian, really appreciate the fact that they can come in and see Italy and France and Holland and Asia and parts unknown.
You have a gallery in Town Square.
In Town Square as well, yeah.
So isn't it unusual for a actual photographer to own their own gallery? He's usually like Don King. You never see him put on the gloves.
Great analogy. Great analogy. Yeah. You know, and most photographers actually do. You know, there's several other photographers in town that have their own namesake galleries.
Oh wow!
And you know, fine art photography is a unique style of art.
So what is fine art exactly?
That's my question.
What is fine art?
What is fine art? Is it like naked women laying down on a nice rose petal, or what?
That is fine, and that'll work. You know, fine art photography really is any photograph that's framed and hanging on the wall, usually a signed number, limited edition. And limited edition really keeps the numbers of that image down. I mean, we can't sell 50,000 of them and license that picture to some, you know, Asian consortium or whatever the case may be. We keep it down to 500 limited edition. Some artists are 950, some artists are 1,500 or 2,500 pieces. I keep mine down to 500, so only 500 people in the history of the world will be able to buy a particular piece that I have hanging in the gallery.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
You know, I have a picture of my daughter, who was 11 months old at the time. May 2008, and the president Obama was holding her.
Oh,
Actually, he was running at the time.
No, he was actually president.
Oh,
sorry, 2009, May 2009. I take that back.
Got it.
And he was holding her, and at the last time he was up here, this last time, he signed it.
Oh,
So
he did.
would that be considered fine art?
no. That, you know, that's the short answer is no, and the reason is because that's really a family heirloom.
I got you.
And you know, the wonderfulness of getting the president to sign a picture of your daughter is awesome. But you know, considering that fine art, no.
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
wondering because I was going to put it on eBay.
But it was a nice try.
I was going to put it on eBay since I was going to put it on eBay as fine art and have somebody.
Well, you know, you could do that. You could do that, and it's really it's up to the beholder.
Yeah.
In a sense.
So how do you actually got into photography? How did that work out for you?
You know, to backtrack just a little bit, I was in high pressure sales in the Lake Tahoe area, and I was selling timeshare vacations, which is high pressure.
Right.
And you know, the company at that time, all the savings and loans were going insolvent, and right around the Christmas time, I lost my job. The resort I was working for in Squaw Valley closed up. And so I was toying around with photography just a little bit, picked up my wife's little Olympus OM1 camera.
How long ago was this?
This was in 1982
Okay.
is when I started in photography.
Okay.
Living in Tahoe, and Tahoe's a stunningly beautiful place,
Right.
obviously. And so I started taking that camera just as a stress reliever, you know, just to kind of go around the, you know, hiking and around the shoreline and see a beautiful branch and photograph the lake in between a branch and start, composing interesting imagery.
So you had no formal training?
No, none at all. None at all. OJT, if you will.
Wow.
On-job training.
Wait, let me get this straight, Mr. Carr. So you had no formal training in taking photos?
No, that's correct. Yeah.
And
Well, isn't art in the eye of the beholder, or beauty of
that's
art?
true. But
Yeah.
with Mr. Carr here, he
Right.
has two galleries. You got one up in Town Square and the other one in the Palazzo.
Right.
I mean that takes some type of finesse.
It does, and
money.
like you said, art is in the eye of the beholder, and basically, you can take an image, and someone somewhere sometime is going to look at that and go, oh, isn't that beautiful? Now, whether you deem it as beautiful or not, or someone else does, is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Very well said. But after shooting, close to 1 million pictures, you have a tendency to get it, and you
Kind of know what to look for.
well, you know
Is
what to
that
look
what
for.
you mean, or
Well, yeah.
or is it a gut feeling?
Here's how I put it: is a novice photographer will look at something and go, oh, isn't that beautiful? Or they'll say to me, oh, look at that, shoot that image, isn't that amazing? And I'll look at it and I'll go, no, it won't translate. And so the training of the eye through looking at multitudes of pictures, literally tens and hundred thousands of pictures, you start to see what works, and you start to see how you can create composition within an image. A novice photographer will lack that sensitive composition and lens utilization, using the camera literally like a paintbrush.
Oh, wow.
And being able to compose better and better and well executed image, executing what's called critical depth of field. Critical depth of field is where you have something extremely close in the foreground, and you have the infinity background, and they're both perfectly in focus. And that is what starts to create poignant imagery and desirable imagery in terms of fine art.
Right. So you said you were taking pictures all over the world. Like, where have you been?
Oh gosh, where haven't I been? Oh, there's a lot of places I haven't been, but I specialize in Europe. So I go to Italy a lot. I've been to Europe 17 times on location photographing. Italy is super popular, and you've been in my gallery and you saw some of the imagery in there. And Italy, France, Holland, Austria, Germany, the Orient.
So you must sell a lot of pictures to get capital to go and go abroad and take all these other photos.
Sure, yeah, it goes with the territory. It's traveling and collecting imagery is what I do in my passion in life and my career as well. So it's important for me to always go out. There's a lot of fine art photographers that I've seen through the years who they're resting on their laurels in a sense. They're stagnant, if you will, and they don't really go out and shoot that much anymore. They just rely on their existing portfolio. But for me, it's almost an obsession.
So tell us about the first piece you took and the first piece you actually sold and made some money off of. What was that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I do remember it. Many years ago, of course, living in Lake Tahoe, I was shooting pictures and I was showing, my pictures on a white wall with a slide projector and putting cool jazz music to the, to
Did
the
you have
imagery.
cheese and wine as well?
No cheese and wine,
Okay.
but other items. So there was one picture I had taken of, it's called Sand Harbor in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
And it was really a nice image, being a fledgling photographer. And so I scraped up enough money to get it framed, and framed it up, and it was only about yay big. And so I was looking at that going, yeah, this looks great, but I didn't have a market for it, so I just took it and I started going from business to business, and going in saying, hey, you want to buy a picture?
Like out of the trunk of your car?
Yeah, literally, trunk of my car. And so some businessman, I think he was a realtor, something like that, said, yeah, I'll buy that. And I think I sold it for $50 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, probably cost me $30 to frame it.
Right.
Back then. But
so how did you end up getting your own gallery? How did that work out?
yeah, very carefully. It's difficult. I first started
And
out.
jump in any time, Troy.
No, you just keep asking questions. I'm good. No, I have some.
I started out first as actually a postcard publisher.
Okay.
And it was I kind of fell into that in a kind of a funny way. And I started using my photography to publish postcards.
Okay.
And so there's a company who I caught the eye of in San Francisco who was actually publishing postcards in the San Francisco Bay Area. And they said, hey, we're looking to expand in the Lake Tahoe market.
Right.
And I started building a decent portfolio of images of Lake Tahoe, including ski shots.
Okay.
That was interesting how I got those. And then this company in San Francisco helped set me up in the Tahoe area as a distributor, and so I started because I had a very strong sales background in the timeshare industry. I did a lot of sales training, teaching the 101 and beyond of sales and closing sales. And so I started going out and with my sales ability, if you will, and just started placing my own racks of my own postcards in and around the Lake Tahoe area, and literally built it up to close to 70, 80 accounts.
Oh, wow.
Where people were selling postcards to tourists. And then as soon as the postcard rack got a little bit low, we'd go back in there and do a reload and write them an invoice, and that started building and building and building.
Yeah.
And eventually I built it up to being the largest postcard publisher in the Reno Lake Tahoe area.
Is that how you got your gallery?
No, this, that building that business was a slow process. I moved to the southern Utah market, and I started shooting pictures in southern Utah of all the national parks. And
There's some pretty area down there.
oh man, Zion and Arches and Canyonlands and slot canyons and places that people don't even know about.
Yeah.
So I started shooting that, and my wife and I said, hey, let's move from Lake Tahoe, because you get a point of diminishing returns
Right.
when you do a product like that. Eventually you saturate the market and you're not going to grow anymore.
Right.
So we sold that Lake Tahoe business and moved to southern Utah and started doing postcards all around southern Utah. And we would go to Vegas, and I would shoot pictures of Vegas because it was fun and sparkly.
Right.
And so I started building a nice portfolio of imagery for the Las Vegas market, and slowly moved into the Las Vegas market with my postcard venture. And so I was doing southern Utah and also Las Vegas.
Right.
And so I built Vegas up really well.
Okay.
I am actually currently the largest postcard publisher in Las Vegas right now as we speak.
Oh, wow.
You are.
As well.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
what I want to know is, one, you kind of alluded to it. I want to hear this, how you got the pictures of the skiers. And two, do you specifically use models, or do you just find the people that just happen to be there in the moment for your pictures?
For ski models?
Well, no, for anything in particular. Do you use models?
No, I don't. No, I'm a landscape photographer primarily.
Oh,
And
okay.
So I shoot landscapes and cityscapes. I really don't shoot. You won't find very many people in my pictures at all.
But if they just happen to be there if they're in it.
Yeah, and and I avoid that because putting a picture in a beautiful scene of in France in a narrow cobblestone alley, and all of a sudden there's a tourist standing there is to me kind of
Ruins it?
it ruins it in a way.
Oh, okay.
But back to the ski imagery.
Yeah, I'm
it
kinda
was
curious about
interesting
that.
because, I had come out with my postcard line in Lake Tahoe about 2 weeks after another guy came out with a brand new launch of a postcard line, which was revolutionary for the market, because there was a guy had been there for years and years and years doing postcards. And so you get these new upcoming guys like me and this other guy, but this other guy was an accomplished ski photographer,
Right.
and where he would shoot these amazing ski shots and put them on postcards. And so I said, man, I got to start competing along these lines. I mean, I got to get some ski shots of my own. So, and I couldn't ski. I had never really lived in an area where there's a lot of skiing going on, and so I would get these extreme skiers, and they would be willing to be able to do their things and their tricks and jump off of cornices, 20, 30-foot drops off of cornices.
Those guys are nuts.
Yeah, and they're crazy. I mean, they would smoke a bong and then no, seriously.
I bet.
Oh, so that's going to be legal now.
Yeah,
Yeah, recreational.
Sure.
Can't wait. January 1st.
yeah, January 1st.
Happy New Year.
No, it's awesome, and it's going to be a happy New Year for sure. And so, but I couldn't ski, so I would have to hike with my camera bag and my tripod,
Right.
And I would have to actually hike up to these locations where these guys would go up there, and extreme skiers. I mean, these guys were good and great models, and we ended up getting some great ski outfit, by going to a ski show in the Salt Lake area and telling them that we were accomplished ski photographers, and they would just throw at us all this equipment and cool new cutting edge clothing and all this kind of stuff. And so, I would hike and they would ski into these locations. I mean, they would hike up too, but usually in their skis. We get up into a location above Emerald Bay, like in Lake Tahoe. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Just beautiful Emerald Bay. And we'd get up really, really high, and these guys would pile up a bunch of snow and create what's called a kicker.
Right.
And a kicker was a ramp that you would pack the snow with your skis and pack the snow and build more up and pack the snow. And then they would get up and they would come down and they would hit that kicker and pow,
Fly.
catapult themselves like 30 feet into the air off of a cornice. And I'm underneath them doing winder sequences going pop, 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 with the camera.
What kind of camera you use?
Well, back then it was a Nikon.
Okay.
But now I'm shooting.
It's your phone.
So now, are you all digital, or do you do
Oh,
film?
Yeah, now it's all digital.
You didn't catch a joke.
But you don't use any film at all anymore.
No, not anymore.
I had a joke.
Listen,
I had a joke.
So you tell me to jump in, and now you got a joke.
But I had a joke. He said he was pop, pop, pop. So I said, what kind of camera? And he was telling me it was a
Nikon.
And I said, now do you use your cell phone?
Yeah, yeah, no,
no.
no. I'm shooting and the camera that I'm shooting now is not that kind of camera where
Right.
you can do fast winder sequences
Gotcha.
with wide angle lenses. But I'm shooting an $85,000
Wow. Camera?
camera.
85.
Yeah, the camera system. It's a Hasselblad.
Is it insured?
Oh yeah.
It's 85,000.
85 for a camera.
It's almost as expensive as my Harley.
But I could get a condo for close to that.
Right.
Might need a little fixing up, but
Yeah, well, I'm shooting my Mercedes actually. So.
oh wow.
So there's no nostalgia in doing anything with film anymore?
Film.
Because, like,
You
albums
remember-
are coming back. Vinyl's coming back.
Yeah, remember 8-tracks?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Reel
yes,
to
I
reel.
do.
Remember reel to reel?
Reel to reel,
Yeah.
too.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that went by the wayside, and film photography is still around,
Okay.
but it's so difficult now to be able to shoot a film image,
Right.
send it off, and have it processed,
Right.
C41 or E6 processing.
Okay.
Get the film back, look at it, choose your image, and then you got to send it off again and have it scanned
Yeah.
for a digital scan. Now, when you send it off to have a scan, because there is no more analog film processing anymore, really.
Okay.
Okay, so now you got to send it off and have a really good high-resolution drum scan made of that well-executed transparency. So now you've got a third-generation image. And not only that, all the waiting and waiting and waiting and all the postage back and forth to get all this stuff done. And as soon as you get that back, guess what? It's a digital image because it's been scanned and digitized.
Okay.
And now you have a CD with your 200 meg image on it, and you can put it in your computer and bring it up, and guess what? It's a digital image. It has now been converted to digital. So now it's a third generation digital image, where if you shoot a digital camera, it's first generation,
Right.
and you don't have to fool with any of that stuff. Print it. Go right to the printing
So,
process.
so
Fair
Mr.
enough.
Carr, you got one gallery at the Palazzo,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yep.
And you have one at the Town Square.
Yep.
Those are the only two.
Yes, sir.
How many employees you got?
All total, probably like 8.
8 employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got my production guys.
Okay.
My production is all done here in Vegas, and the process is arduously difficult
Okay.
in how we display and frame the imagery.
Okay. So do you still go abroad and take photos?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's your next trip?
I'm going to probably be going back to Europe in May,
Okay.
and a little cleanup work, some things that I want to get that I haven't been able to. Photography's difficult, and a lot of people, they walk into the gallery and they go, "Oh, you have such a wonderful life, and isn't this fun?" And gosh, you get to travel, and I just want to smack them because,
I got corporate tax. I got state tax.
Well,
I got.
not only that. I mean, like I went to Europe. I went to Europe last May, and there was a sit and spin low pressure system sitting in Europe for like 10 days. and I'm there for 3 weeks.
Right.
And so, you
That
know,
kinda
out of that
screws
10-day
things
period
up.
of time, it's like, what the heck am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, it really is a challenge to shoot pictures when the weather is crappy. So there's always things getting in the way. There's challenges. There's equipment problems. You know, transportation problem. I rent a car and drive all over Europe. But
So you mentioned, you know, you didn't have any formal training. You're pretty much on the job. Do you have any proteges? Have you had any proteges?
no.
So you're not sharing this, so when you're gone, somebody else can take over. I guess that's what I'd be alluding to.
Right, right. Well, you know, to have actually a photographic protege is a moot point in a sense, and you know, based on what your concept was in terms of somebody taking it over, somebody can take my portfolio eventually and have access to my entire library,
Right.
my portfolio. But teaching somebody in terms of a photographic protege, they're going to have to interpret it their own way anyway.
Yeah.
And
They gotta put their own
Okay,
spin on it.
so then comes my next question, because this is what I'm alluding to. No formal training. How would you formally train a photographer?
Right, right. Well, it's
So
the
that's
same-
that's what I was alluding to, because if
Right.
you don't have a protege, but yet I'm sure the people that are working for you, if somebody's interested in it, at least they have some kind of an idea of where they might want to start, correct?
Right, right.
Okay.
You know, and it's like a musician. I mean, you get classically trained musicians, and you have musicians who have had an entire career playing by ear. I mean, most of the rock people, you know, the iconic rock people in the world, Jimi Hendrix and anybody else, they couldn't read music.
Right.
It was all from here, not here.
Correct.
And that's an art form. And to be, and I'm actually a jazz guitar player. I've been playing guitar ever since I was a kid, and I played in lots of groups. But I can't read music, but I compose and I can follow pretty much anything by ear. I mean, you know, you put on a record, and I can play along with it and right in the proper key and make it sound really good.
So, Mr. Carr, we're running out of time, but for full disclosure, I met you at your gallery when you were hosting the Miss Grand International.
Right? Yeah, you did.
You had like 93 beautiful women
from all over
that you don't
the
take
world.
pictures of across the world.
With my cell phone.
With your cell phone, you take those photos.
He made a joke.
So, how does one do an event at your place? How does that work?
You know, the gallery is always open for events. My gallery director, Orlando Gallegos, he pretty much organizes that stuff and gets the timing down. But we open up the gallery to, as a matter of fact, tonight at the Palazzo Gallery, and you're all invited if you want to come to a PAWS, P-A-W-S, PAWS event.
Isn't that Gia's?
No,
No,
that's paws on the patio.
Pause on the patio.
No, that's different.
Yeah,
He's not going to have a bunch of
dogs
dogs
in
running through.
yeah, no, we're no animals, but it's the PAWS event. And it's a charity event,
Yeah.
and we'll probably be donating a piece or
wow.
auctioning off a piece, I think, as a matter of fact, in the event tonight.
Okay.
And so, come on down.
Well, I like to thank you for coming on the program.
Absolutely.
And could you give us your point of contact?
Yep. It's the website is williamcarrgallery.com, C-A-R-R. And we're in the Palazzo Venetian and the Palazzo side, and Town Square right next to Brio.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, get your Italian food on and then go on over there.
Absolutely.
and
Get your
it
food
I
on.
want to go check it
Well,
out.
what are your prices, anyways? What are the ranges?
You know, we average from, for really, really small accent pieces, we got $300, $400, $500 pieces. And then,
What's the big piece?
the really nice, bigger fine art pieces are from $3,000 up to $30,000.
Oh, wow.
I've got a
Okay.
huge Grand Canyon piece that's a 4-panel piece. It's 160 inches. That's a $30,000 piece, but it's spectacular.
All right. Well, William Carr, thank you so much for coming to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, that's William Carr, the owner of the William Carr Art Gallery. This is Steve Sanson and Troy Ethan Warren, Veterans in Politics, folks. But don't go away. We're going to have Stephen Sonnenburg. He's going to discuss the unethical ruling by the hands of Judge Rebecca Burton. We'll be right back. Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Troy Ethan Warren with Veterans in Politics, and we have in studio Stephen Sonnenburg, who's going to discuss the unethical ruling of family court judge Rebecca Burton. Mr. Sonnenburg, could you give us a bio?
My name's Stephen Sonnenburg. I've lived in Las Vegas for about 31 years. My family moved here in 1985. Just work in the restaurant meat industry. I sell meat for a living, so that would be the quick down and dirty. I'm a father of 2 boys that mean the world to me, and that's where we're at.
Well, you know, and it's sad that every now and again folks end up in the family court system, and I just want to tell the listeners how you happen to end up there.
Well, I've been divorced now for going on, well, actually now it's about 5 years this month, I believe. And I got divorced and have been in and out of that system for the last 5 years, fighting and scraping for everything that I've gained from going from her having full custody to joint physical 50-50 custody. I have spent on the upwards of tens of thousands, 20s, thousands of dollars just trying to get and keep what I have with my children.
You know, they say a family court matter is a very personal and private thing. But for somebody to come on a radio show and to talk about it, you must have been disgusted by the ruling or upset by the decision of the judge, or because I read your file, and what I found in the file, there was CPS was involved. There was a domestic violence issue in there, if I read that correctly. There was a protective order in there. There was allegations of prescription drugs and alcohol. There was allegations of stalking that was in there. Why are you here?
I'm here just to kind of share my story. That way everybody that comes into the family court system kind of knows what they're going up against, and it's not always fun. It's not always a pretty place to be, especially as a man going through that position.
As I say, it's very biased against men.
It is very biased. That's not to say that there are not men out there that don't deserve what they get, but it makes it harder for us men that do truly fight for the rights of our children and are good, upstanding citizens don't get what we rightfully deserve.
So do you think, I mean, a litigant spends thousands upon thousands of dollars for an attorney, and these attorneys, they write briefs, and you or any litigant will actually donate their time, take off work and find parking, and to show up at a place you really don't want to be. I mean, it's not like it's Sandals in the Caribbeans. You know, you really don't want to be there, and you got to take time off, and you got to spend money on something you really don't want to spend money on. I mean, who wants to spend money on an attorney, really? And you go down there and you show up for your hearing. Do you think these judges that sit behind the bench in family court actually read these briefings that the litigants and counsels put before them?
I do not.
What do you say to that?
My experience down there is I believe that they take a quick peek right before they go and look, and they read some notes, and they listen to the argument at hand when the defendant and the plaintiff sit in front of them. I believe that system is set up to line pockets of judges and attorneys. I was very fortunate, and I'm very happy with my attorney. Excuse me.
Do you mind saying who your attorney is?
My attorney at that time was Robert DeMarco.
Okay.
Before I had Robert DeMarco, my attorney was Miley's.
Edward Miley?
Miley's, yes. So the system in general, I believe, is just, I heard that last time I sat in a courtroom that one of the judges had 130 more cases on docket this year than they did last year. Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is if they would take the time and study their cases and deal with them the way they need to be dealt with by the law, that they probably wouldn't have 130 extra cases on docket year in and year out, that they could actually settle those cases, get them off their docket, and let people move on about their lives.
Do you think that the attorneys and the judges drag these cases out?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you say to that?
Well, you walk in there and you have a half hour to present your case, and if you don't present your case in that half hour and it's not settled in that half hour, then it'll be reassigned for a half-day hearing. And then if it's not done within that half day, then it's reassigned for another half-day hearing. And it's case after case after case after case that just continually goes on.
Before I talk about how you arrived at Judge Rebecca Burton with her unethical ruling, I just want to go through some bullet points that are part of your case. How did Child Protective Services get involved?
My ex-wife's sister had actually called Child Protective Services in the case where the accusations that were made to me from my ex-wife's sister was that my ex-wife tried to commit suicide. So at that time, her sister had called Child Protective Services.
Okay. How about domestic violence? How did that get involved?
She is in a, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, a very violent relationship with her current boyfriend, on and off fiance, and has been for the last 5 years.
Is it the one that she was saying that you were trying to destroy all the relationships she has?
That is correct. Yeah, and there's documentation beyond documentation from 911 calls and everything else in that relationship.
So you're the one that actually got the protective order against your ex, right?
I did. I got a protective order against her boyfriend
To stay away from the kids?
to stay away from the kids.
Wise choice.
Yeah.
So you got this protective order. You got the sisters. I mean, your ex-wife's sisters saying that your ex-wife is suicidal. Correct.
Correct.
And by way of drugs and alcohol is what I read.
Yes.
Okay. And CPS is involved.
Yes.
What's the status of do you have full sole legal custody of your children?
I do not at this time.
How is that possible? How is that possible?
I have joint physical custody.
You think the judge actually read this, or you think the judge doesn't give a crap?
I don't think the judge really cared. She wouldn't even listen to me in the courtroom that day.
So I thought the court
She must be a man-hater.
isn't the judge supposed to listen to both sides before making a ruling? That way she could be fair and unbiased. And why do you think that she didn't give you the opportunity to voice your concerns or your objections?
I think the judge was irritated because we had sat in front of her courtroom so many times in the past. That was like the fourth time or fifth time that we'd sat in her courtroom. That being said, it was the first time that, out of all those times that we went to the courtroom, that I ever took my ex-wife to court. And it was just off of information that was provided to me through my ex-wife's sister. And I was just trying to do the right thing and be a responsible human being and a responsible citizen, and more so a responsible father to my children. I don't want to see anything happen to my ex-wife.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's the mother of your children. I get that.
Correct.
Absolutely. That's
so if we're going to do a pro and con, okay, and be fair with this pro and con, how would you rate yourself in this particular case with all the evidence in front of the judge? I mean, how would you rate yourself, and how would you rate your ex-wife if we were going to do a pro and con? As far as you could say, hey, she was suicidal. I had to get a protective order against the guys that she was with. She was using drugs and alcohol. And would you say that she's a nurturing and caring mother? She shows up at the children's school. They're actively involved in academics. Their grades are going up. They're socially motivated. How would you assess both sides?
If I were a judge,
Yeah.
I think if I were a judge, I would take the time to read the case before I made any kind of conclusion whatsoever, and I don't believe that was done. I've always, on my end, had a steady job. I worked in the grocery industry for 25 years nonstop.
So you're a provider.
Always have been. I struggle from time to time, just like everybody else does. I'm a man that lives paycheck to paycheck. On her end, she's had more jobs than I could probably shake a stick at, all in the same industry, but she's worked ever since we got divorced. But there's inconsistencies there with employment. That would be the first thing that I'd look at. Anytime drugs or alcohol or anything is brought into a case, I would think that a judge would want to stop and look into that situation more so because of the kids that are involved in that. So that would if I were a judge, that's something that I would look
Well,
at.
wouldn't that be okay? So let's take the drugs out. Let's just talk about the alcohol, 'cause that could be a slippery slope. Because, like, trust me, I've been through what you've been through before you even graduated high school. So,
Sure.
I'm totally empathetic with what you're going on. I don't know your whole case, but I understand totally, and I feel for you. But I drink.
So do I.
And that's what I'm saying. So that alcohol, so there would have to be a pattern or something. But if you threw drugs into it, doesn't that get a little crazy sometimes?
Well, what kind of drugs are we
What
talking?
kind of drugs are we talking about?
Prescription, overdoing prescription medication. You're referring to when she tried to commit suicide?
Right.
The way I understood it was that her sister had gone over there and found her unconscious on the ground with a bottle of vodka or a bottle of booze. I don't want to say vodka because I don't know
Right.
for sure. 911 was called.
Okay.
The police showed up out there. Paramedics showed up out there. Apparently, they were all kicked out. She came to very quickly.
So there was no 72-hour.
They tried, and the 72-hour legal deal got booted out of there. I went down, and after CPS got involved, applied for and was granted temporary custody of the children.
CPS gave you temporary custody.
No, the courts did. I went down to the courthouse.
CPS doesn't have control over that. They have to make a recommendation.
Who in the courts gave you temporary custody?
I went down and I filed with the courthouse, and I'm not quite sure how that part of it worked out. I don't quite remember, but I do remember filing with Judge Rebecca Burton's courthouse to get a shortened time to get a quick hearing, and it was granted.
Is this a sealed case?
It was at one time. It is no longer a sealed case.
Was there video and audio in Judge Burton's courtroom?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. So when we went through the case, we did not have enough time to get the 911 calls.
Why is that? Isn't that?
Because
Don't you think that's important?
I do. And I think at that time, in this instance, that case should have been continued to look at all the evidence. And, and that wasn't done.
If you're talking about the lives of two innocent children, don't you think all the evidence should be provided, including 911 calls?
I do.
And why do you think that didn't happen?
Well, I think, again, the judge was upset because we were in front of her bench again.
You're talking about your kids.
I know.
It's not her kids. And she's getting paid to be in front of that and on that bench.
How old are your children?
My oldest is 9. My youngest is 6.
Okay.
So I applied for shortened time, and because that time was given, there was not enough time for us to subpoena the 911 calls and get those into the courtroom as evidence.
I bet you if this was a murder trial, they'll find the time to subpoena those
bet you're
911
right.
calls. All right, so let's cut to the chase. How did you arrive at a decision that Judge Burton was unethical?
She dissolved the case without looking at any of the evidence whatsoever, and put everything back into motion how it was before the temporary custody was granted by her office. when CPS actually found some issues within my ex-wife's behavior when she was not around the kids, not when she was with them, when she was not. She didn't look at any of this evidence.
What do you think she didn't do that?
I couldn't tell you. I'm
Does
not.
she has a relationship with the opposing counsel you know of, or
I don't know anything.
Did you look to see if there was any kind of campaign contributions given to opposing counsel?
I did not. I do not know.
Does the children have a therapist, or does the children have their own counsel?
We just put Dean in therapy, and he's gone to 2 sessions now.
That was who made that ruling?
Nobody. That's just something that me and my ex-wife decided to do on our own.
Oh wow, the judge didn't even make that ruling.
No.
So you are still having dialogue with her? Like, you can actually have a conversation with her?
I still can to this day, yes.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of heartache from time to time, but
I'm sure it is.
I make sure I do for the mental health of my children.
So, Mr. Sonnenburg,
Good man.
what advice do you want to give to the folks that might be just starting this process, or not starting this process at all? What would you want to tell the people of Clark County if they going to get into the family court system?
If you go to get into the family court system, my biggest advice would be to have a little patience with your ex-significant other. Give time for a cooling off period. Get educated. Take some classes down at UNLV that's provided. There's a lot of good classes down there that will help you co-parent, because at the end of the day, the only people that get hurt in any kind of a divorce case is the children.
Absolutely.
You know you're going to put a lot of judges out of business if every parent takes your advice. Then we wouldn't need these family court judges anymore.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be
And
okay with that.
then they might want to take the time to listen to your case and don't care how many times you come before them, and maybe they might want to read the briefings.
I would agree. So that's why I believe that it was unethical. She did not take the time to look into actually what was going on. And then after the case was done in order, I was ordered to pay for my ex-wife's attorney fees, just because I was trying to be a responsible human being. Because God forbid.
So you got to pay the attorney fees after CPS is involved because of her suicidal behavior.
And I was ordered to pay Joelle's attorney fees because I guess I took her to court one time out of the 5 times that she took me to court. So.
Oh, wow. So it's like you got punished.
I was punished for being the responsible adult because the allegations of her trying to commit suicide. So now if anybody tried to commit suicide, in my opinion, and somebody wanted to take them to court, all the court is saying is beware, because if you do that, we're going to fine you with attorney fees.
Wow, that's just crazy. Mr. Sonnenburg, thank you so much for coming on the program. Do you have a point of contact you want to share in case anybody else have the same problems as you?
Sure. If they want to reach me, they can feel free to email me. My email is steve.sonnenburg@gmail.com, spelled STEVE.SONNENBURG@gmail.com. And feel free to contact me at any time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Sonnenburg. That was Stephen Sonnenburg discussing the unethical ruling by the hands of Family Court Judge Rebecca Burton. Don't go away, folks. Well, this is it. We'll be back next week. This is Steve Hansen and Troy Ethan Warren,
Have a good
Veterans
day.
in Politics. Until next week.